Chris Cartman, son of a source. Kenny, a lot of people have asked me if strength and conditioning and or the way in which you guys are practicing is contributing in any way to the injuries. I know it's not really been a lot of soft tissue injuries, so
yeah,
probably not. But
no. I mean, Coach Joe's been here before I got here, and we haven't had these extreme amount of injuries, so it doesn't have to do with that. In terms of practicing harder, yeah, we do practice harder. We don't even practice close to where we will practice here. In 2 to 3 years from now, we're not at that level yet. So we're actually going to practice harder here as we get better and more depth and stuff like that. So I don't believe any of that has to do with it. I just think there's, some fluke things happen. I mean, we're not getting muscular issues. We're getting elbows pop out of their joints. So, I mean, we're getting real problems. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And, our guys are battling through it, and they're tough, and they're fighting, and they want the guys who want to fight with them alongside of them when we take the field on Saturdays.
do you think any aspect of it is related to the first year under a new regime, doing things differently or anything?
I think when it rains, it pours. We got injured at certain positions so early that now you have guys who probably shouldn't be playing significant minutes or are battling through normal wear and tear, like, oh, my ankle's a little twisted, but I'm fine. I can play 20 snaps. I feel fine. And now those guys are playing 70 snaps instead of 15. Or, hey, this week you're the rotation guy and you're the eighth lineman instead of the starter. So I think when it rains, it pours. When you have so many guys lose at one position, now those other guys at that position are getting more work than they would normally have to or should by default, and that then slowly wears on them. And unless you get people back, there's not really a solution to the problem, unfortunately.
And building on that, can you talk about the personnel issues? Obviously, Glass left the team, but where you are with some of the injuries from the game on Saturday?
Yeah, so Prince, we don't know yet. We'll find out this afternoon how he's feeling. We have to get an MRI result back, and we usually get those back today. I would say he's, day to day. Probably won't practice this week. Maybe he can play on game day, but we'll find out from there. Unfortunately, Matus will be out for the season. He tore his ACL, which is sad. One of the leaders of the team. I mean, that kid embodies Sun Devil football. He's battled. He sent an unbelievable text to the guys Saturday night after the game, just about leave it all on the field, and you never know when your last play is. And he's just an unbelievable person, not just player, but just person. He's going to be successful in life. So really sad to see, his career come to an end here. But his attitude is positive. Cole Garvin will be. There's a lot. So I'm not going to go into every guy. It'd take too long. But we've got a few, and like I said, it's when it rains, it pours, because guys are playing more than they should, and they're battling through things. So it's unfortunate, but like I told the guys today, and I've said it all year, nobody cares. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. It is a process-driven job that I have, but it's a results-driven hobby for everybody else. So you can't get lost in the results when the only thing that really matters in terms of how to fix the results is the process. But everybody has the right to be frustrated with the results. That's why this is one of the greatest games of all time, because people get to watch it and have fun and complain and yell. That's the greatest part about sports. But sports are process-driven when you're in it, and if you get wrapped up in the results, you'll never get the process right. So that's what I'm worried about, is the process. And if we do the process right, we continue to grow and continue to grow. We've gotten a lot better this year, and we're going to continue to get better and continue to fight.
Is the knee injury for Matus the same one that he tore last year?
No, it's a different one.
For at least how in Trenton is he week to week? What's his status?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on Trenton right now. He's day to day, so we'll find that one out just kind of as the week progresses. If we were to play today, he would not play.
And then So next week you have UCLA in the Rose Bowl, and the Rose Bowl is maybe one of the most iconic places in all of college football. Is there a different aura when you go to like a game like that and getting to be in an incredible stadium and getting to be like that? Or do you take a moment to like look around and enjoy the atmosphere, especially with the fact that you might never see that same again with them going to the Big Ten?
I don't, but I'm sure there are other people that do. But I've never been infatuated by things or people. That's just not, I just never have. So that type of stuff doesn't do anything for me. But I know for some people that's going to be a really cool moment. It's a really iconic place. And it's the last time we'll potentially play them on the road in their home. So this is definitely a significant game just for the history of ASU here. When looking back on everything, this is a significant game. But in terms of the place and the moment, and it's just not who I am.
Coach Blake Neiman, Cronkite Sports. During the recruitment process for Dante Moore, you built a strong relationship with him. How would you describe that relationship and just who he is as a player and a person?
Yeah, he's an unbelievable player. He's an unbelievable person. Hard worker, tough, smart, accurate. Pick any other adjective that's positive in the dictionary, and I believe that about that kid. I think he's just an unbelievable person who's done. I can't say enough positive about that kid. I built a really good relationship. Unfortunately, I can't really talk to him anymore due to NCAA rules, which is unfortunate just because he is a great kid and we built a really strong bond. But I wish him nothing but the best, in his entire career, and he's unbelievable.
Kenny, when you look at the magnitude of the defenses you're playing, Utah, UCLA, can you put into perspective like how difficult a task that is when you're on a fourth quarterback and you're missing half your offensive line, and how daunting that is to prepare for those things?
Yeah, the game is about matchups at the end of the day, and the most important matchups are up front. That's why when if you think about the highest paid guys in the NFL, it's defensive ends, offensive line, and quarterback, right? Why? Because that's the number one correlation to winning those positions. If you can't run the ball, if you can't protect the quarterback, if you can't impact the quarterback, or if you can, on the contrary, then you're going to win a ton of football games. So we're definitely got to be unique and creative with how we utilize guys. I felt like I could have done a better job. I didn't prepare good enough for Trenton going down so early in the game and in that scenario, just because I felt like we would struggle if that would happen. So preparing for a situation that you'd struggle in is how much time do you invest in that versus, okay, let's go win this football game, guns are blazing. So I could have done a better job preparing and putting together a plan for Scat and some other guys back there to try to move the ball instead of just kind of throw one together on the sideline. Probably should have just kind of had a better plan there moving forward. So it's a challenge, but we're going to adapt and change and continue to adapt and change. And maybe, every few weeks or that will work and we'll spark plug it. And then people kind of figure out, what we're doing and what the weakness of it is of it a little bit. And we'll have to keep changing.
Do you see UCLA as a similar caliber challenge?
I think this is the best defensive front I've faced in 2 years. In my opinion, I think going back the last 2 years, I think from a talent perspective, this front seven could be the most talented, the most disruptive. In my last 2 years here, they're super talented, super good, and that's not a knock on Utah. Utah is unbelievable. They're sound, but this UCLA team is very, very, very talented.
Stopping the run against Utah was a bit of a struggle. So with UCLA and the strength of their rush attack, what adjustments do you have to make this week to have?
Yeah, just run fits. There were a few times we were getting on the same level. We became a one-level defense, and our third-level fitter was getting too tight, so we couldn't see the picture open up. And when you don't see the picture open up, that's when you get two in a gap, because a good running back will set you up and then bounce it or trap you, essentially, similar to what Badger did 2 weeks ago, Washington State on the goal line versus the safety who spun down on the speed sweep. If you guys can envision that, that's what a good rusher will do if you don't have layers to a defense. So I think we just got to be a little bit more sound. It was the first time We've really faced a team that was running the zone read all year. Nobody really ran their quarterback. They didn't really do that with him in weeks past with that quarterback. So that kind of was a wrinkle for them. They did a nice job hitting some explosives off the zone read game with him, and we're going to have to prepare for that this week just because, Coach Kelly and what they do offensively, there's, creative run game and a lot of quarterback-driven read game.
Coach Steve Guglielcello, Arizona Sports. Was Saturday more of a burn the film type of day, or was it something you could take a lot intellectually from and bring back to your team?
Yeah, I think there's a combination. I think every position's a little bit different in terms of what you can take away from the game. What I took away from the game was I showed the guys, listen, that team we just played, we lost that game in March. We lost that game in April. That's not a game that you win in your week of prep. That's a game that you find out what your 9 months of prep puts you in position to do. And I said, so that's my fault because I didn't do a good enough job the last 9 to 10 months putting us in position to win a football game like that. Because those games are not scheme-based. Those games are purely culture-based, effort-based, program-based, and I haven't done a good enough job in the last 9 months to get us to that point to compete versus a team like that. So that's what I told the guys was that game's on me. I got to do better. Watch it, and let's go back to being the team, just like Utah did 2 weeks ago when they had a result they didn't like. They responded with their best game of the year. That's what good teams do, good cultures do. Now let's us go respond with our best game of the year this week and flush it and go be the defense that played versus Washington and the offense that played versus Washington State. And let's try to put it together.
Coach, the UCLA quarterback situation with the injuries against Arizona, you've already had to prepare for multiple quarterbacks against Oklahoma State. How are you envisioning this week and preparing for the quarterback situation?
Yeah, I mean, they're all three somewhat similar players, all have a little bit different skill set, but they don't drastically change what they do, in the past. So, for Coach Kelly, you just know there's going to be something you've never seen. We kind of have a similar mindset in terms of showing pictures that you've never seen before. And so he's going to show something that we've never seen, specifically in the run game, formationally, motions that you can't prepare for. And are you sound enough that it's impossible to prepare for it? You can just be sound with your scheme, and your kids should know the fits and should know the adjustments based off of hats and gap counts. And I think that's the real challenge this week is, are we at a stage defensively to stop the run based off of, something we may have never prepared for because some of the stuff's almost impossible to prepare for because he's never done it before. And I think that's what makes him a really good football coach is that ability to change it and change it. And the key is being so sound defensively, chase your gap and your gap sound. If you get spooked by it all, that's when creases happen.
You added 30 Division I transfers to this year's roster, which is a record at ASU, twice as many, actually. What do you foresee this offseason being in that respect? I mean, how hard do you have to hit it and where?
Yeah, I definitely think O-line, we're going to be very, very aggressive in the portal for sure. Defensive line, we're going to have to grab some people losing to Sean. Probably linebacker. Get some depth there with Trey leaving. We lose a few corners. So I think it's kind of, our wideout room, I feel really confident. I mean, we have, we just got Jordan back, but we also have Jake. So we've been without two of our best wideouts kind of all year that we took in the portal that we knew one, wasn't going to play and the other was 50-50 with, NCAA. But we knew they were really good players. And for the future, we wanted to put them on our roster. So next year we actually get to, reap that benefit. So I would say those positions for sure. But I mean, you're going to get / bring in the best talents you can bring in. And if that means we become a 14 personnel team, we're 14. Highly doubt it. But you're going to bring in the best players. But O-line is definitely priority A, B, C, D, and probably E and F too.
Some of your best players and or most talented players are new transfers. So are you confident about your ability to kind of get the roster where you want it to be? Maybe not all the way, but trending in that direction?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I feel confident with the roster we have now. I really do. If we could reload and for some reason not be as banged up as we would get, I feel great about, really good about the roster that we would have. It's just unfortunate the situation. So I definitely think adding a few more pieces to the roster, getting people back healthy. I mean, in reality, if you signed 5 linemen this year and get back 8 healthy guys, you signed 13, which sounds absurd. But that is really what you're adding to the roster in terms of guys who play on game day, which is you're adding an entire new front. So I think, yes, I feel very, very confident that we're going to be able to bring in more Prince Dorbas and Clayton Smiths and Deshaun Mallory's and Xavier Alfords, who is another kid who hasn't even played for us yet, who's a really good player. I mean, I feel very, very, very confident in that.
Coach, with the injuries you've had to deal through and the different personnel you're working through right now, how do you put those players who are now in these different situations in a position to succeed?
Yeah, I think we got to have more relief at times for the O-line. So, that relief, for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks was speed sweeps, right? We gave some relief, but, people get paid to coach too. And, once you can trick people, right? And then they're going to figure out what you're doing. And then they're going to make you, play, take away what your strength is. It's what every good coach does. So we got to continue to adapt to change what we're doing, to help our guys, who are, maybe shouldn't be in a one-on-one. Like, credit to Sean Naw, by the way. Like, everybody around the program, everybody should be so proud of that kid. That kid's a true freshman who's practiced all year at guard, who gets moved to left tackle on the plane to Utah on the road in a hostile environment to go versus one of the best, if a top 3 defensive end in the nation. And the dude battled. He never quit. He never wavered. Yeah, he got beat a few times. Yeah, anybody's going to get beat versus that guy. But you know what? That kid battled. So credit to Sean. Everybody should be super proud of him. His future here is so bright. And just couldn't be prouder of a kid to step in and not even flinch like that. That says a lot about the kid and how he was raised.
Hey, Coach, Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ. How does Isaiah's departure impact kind of how you're shuffling things around on an already thin offensive line?
Yeah, not much, to be honest. I think for us it's the same as it was last week. We went to the game. If anything, now we have we kind of know that Sean needs to play there, so we can actually get practice and reps there, and we know that going into the game plan, who's going to play there, which that obviously has an effect with how you put together a plan. Is who's going to be in what spot. So knowing that who our 5R and 6, 7 kind of are going into the game, I think that's going to be a good benefit for us.
Coach Michael Caratino, Pitchfork Lunch. To kind of piggyback off that play calling wise, I mean, I know you keep saying you want to put guys in positions to succeed, but with the injuries and guys shuffling in and out, how do you feel that's helped you grown as a play caller in a challenging time like this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question. Yeah, it just really challenges you to be creative and step out of your comfort zone a little bit. And so that's what we're doing again this week is, trying to be creative and step out of a comfort zone. And sometimes sometimes you got to get more complicated to have success. And sometimes you got to simplify to have success, and it just depends on where you stand. So I think we're in a little bit of a crossroads of we complicated and we had some success versus Washington State, and it was great, and then didn't have success last week, kind of caught up to us. So what's the next turn along this windy road of navigating the situation? And I think our guys will respond. And like I told them today, let's go out there and score some points. Let's go out there and stop them. Let's go win a football game. It's not like we're far away from scoring whatever we did versus Washington State and holding Washington to not that many. Let's just get back to that. We're that football team, and let's go respond and let's go compete.
No Furtado, son of a source. Coach, you said on Saturday that you guys didn't quit you like that about the effort in that game. Where do you feel like your guys are right now culturally relative to where you would like them to be? Obviously, as you've seen things progress from the start of the season to now.
Yeah, I think they're growing together, and I think they're starting to set the standard of the program in terms of we're all in. You see Jordan Clark jogging off the field, still like yelling for his teammates to compete with 2 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, right? When your leaders act like that, it just shows that you're heading in the right direction. Now, we're going to have to continue. Last week showed that if we want to beat teams that have, in my opinion, elite culture, right, that happens 12 months out of the year. Doesn't happen on game week. And I think it shows our guys the work, the toughness, the practices, the grit that goes into a spring ball. Spring ball was mild, in my opinion. It was significant, solid intensity, but it was still mild. And I think that's where in the offseason, strength and conditioning, and when we hit spring ball and fall camp, those practices have to be on another level as we progress. And I think our guys are starting to understand the why. I think they're starting to understand the why of those situations.